A lot of the time when beginners start powerlifting, they expect the training sessions to be dramatic, exhausting, just downright brutal. That's the furthest thing from the truth on how they should actually be training. Your training should actually be quite boring when we first start. Boring doesn't mean no progress. It actually means the opposite. If you're doing boring sessions and boring training, you're probably going to make more progress. When I mean boring, I don't mean that you're dreading coming into the sessions. What I mean is actually repeating similar variables each time, making sure your squat technique is on point, making sure your bench technique, your deadlift technique, your accessories are being pushed properly. What powerlifting is about is managing your fatigue and your recovery to a point where your muscles and your nervous system are so conditioned to the weight that you should be pushing that it doesn't actually affect you too much outside of the gym. Obviously, when you're pushing heavy singles, PRs, competitions like that, yeah, you're going to feel like shit for a few days afterwards. That's why we take a deload. But if you should feel like that after every session, your recovery's not right, and you're also pushing it a bit too hard, just going to burn out too quickly. If you are always chasing that PR or that 1 rep max every session, sorry to tell you, you're going to do really well for the first bit. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have some newbie gains. You are going to try and push that PR every single session. But that plateau is going to hit, and you're not going to have the technique to back up your strength. So start with the boring stuff first. Get that technique there. And then when you start pushing those PRs, you can push them a lot harder and a lot further. A lot of beginners actually come to me, and I've seen Russell Orhis, Olivier Harris's, Hacks, Colin Engelbright's, all these people's stories. And they're like, I need to hit this single. I need to hit this PR match. I need to be doing this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, you don't actually see what goes on behind the scenes for them. Russell Orhis has had years in the game, like over 10 years in the game. John Hack has had over 10 years in the game. And these people, yeah, for social media, you gotta post some of your good shit. But a lot of the time, you don't see all their accessories, all the training sessions that go into this, all the technique work that they've been doing for years upon years before you even knew what powerlifting was. So yeah, advanced lifters are going to do advanced things in the gym. They are going to be pushing those singles. They are going to be pushing those PR matches. That doesn't mean you should. At this stage of your powerlifting career, leave it to the basics. Be a bit boring. I want you to actually think about having a session, feeling like you've worked hard, but you're not absolutely wrecked. Because powerlifting needs to fit around your lifestyle, not your lifestyle around powerlifting. Unless you're getting paid to powerlift, be my guest, make it your lifestyle. But a lot of yous, like myself, I'm a father, I have a job, but I have to fit my training around my lifestyle. I don't fit my lifestyle around my training. So one day I might train at 6 a.m., one day I might train at 6 p.m., and all those hours in between. So making sure you still have your energy to actually go and do your job effectively, be with your friends and family effectively, is the main goal of this. Yes, you want to get strong, but let's work on getting that systematic conditioning there so you're actually able to actually live your life outside of the gym. Because progress doesn't actually just mean a new PR every week, a new 1 rep max. It actually shows up in maybe an extra rep on that 80 kilo bench that you can do. You maybe only got 3 last week, you got 4 this week. That's progress. Maybe the reps are starting to feel a little bit easier, or they're starting to move a little bit faster. Your technique is looking so much better. That's all progress. So don't just keep your eyes focused on the weight. Keep it focused on the whole entire session. If you come out of a session, instead of feeling like, oh, I worked today, you're like, that was quite easy. That's progress. Your body is getting adapted and conditioned. If you are a beginner, you are wanting to leave a few reps in reserve. You're not wanting to push those RPE10s just yet. So yeah, you want to leave like maybe 2, 3, sometimes even 4 reps in the tank, just so your body is ready to push hard. Good training's actually still going to work if you're having a bad day, you've had bad sleep, you've had bad recovery. It's not going to help you if your training is shit when you've had a bad day. You're a bit stressed. You're not feeling on top of your game. Your motivation dips in the gym. Why is that a good program if you're not able to perform well? If those things happen, your program's either too advanced for you, not right for you, or you're not conditioned to actually be able to push through those like symptoms of training. So just think, a good program still works if life isn't perfect. because it's rarely perfect. The one big issue with boring training I've seen with beginner lifters is they move on way too early. Yes, good lifting is boring, but you can't move on too early. Just because boredom does feel a bit like stagnation, it's not. It's still progression. Once again, look at all the other variables. The reps moving quicker. You're getting more reps. You're not feeling as shit after a session. That's progression for you. Yeah, you might see someone who kind of started around a similar time, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead, and they're doing some cooler shit now. It doesn't matter. You still need to stay on the path you're on. Don't compare your level 1 to someone else's level 50, to someone else's level 99, even to someone else's level 2. Level 1 and level 2 are completely different. Work on yourself and the weights will join you in your journey. Most beginners abandon that early stage of powerlifting because they're feeling bored. They program hop, and then that's when you get into that downhill snowball of program hopping to find that perfect program for you, which was phase 1 of your powerlifting. Making sure you're doing all the right things. You're going to program hop and it's not going to work for you. You're going to come right back to where you started 5 months down the line and be further behind than when you were if you would have carried on. So just remember, if your training feels predictable, manageable, slightly boring, just know you're doing the right thing. This isn't something to abandon. This is something to protect. Real progress doesn't feel dramatic. It feels sustainable. Just remember, powerlifting is a marathon, not a sprint.